General Rowny, you have a common condition, macular degeneration, that caused you to go blind over 20 years ago. How did you adjust your work methods so you could stay productive enough to write books?
I learned that the best way to make up for my deficiency was through improving my memory. I took some memory courses, such as pegging, which is putting numbers together with alphabet, and chunking, which is breaking things up into small pieces, and also different ways of describing things in greater detail. And I found that these memories techniques helped me a great deal.
Did you find modern methods of communication helpful?
Yes, I found the modern methods to be absolutely indispensable. They're very good and can be used by being able to listen to emails which are sent me. And with that technique, I can go back and forth with associates and my editor and put together more improved drafts along the way. With this technique, I did my first book, It Takes One to Tango, in 1992.
Could you further explain how you wrote and reviewed drafts of the book without being able to read them or write them on a computer? Having worked in traditional ways for so many years, what did you find most challenging about the adjustment?
I found that there was some software that could be hooked up between the computer and the telephone, and people could send you emails that you could listen to, and you could also send answers back through the same system. That was able to facilitate various drafts being made until the book was ready for publication. I found that in all this, the biggest challenge was trying to shift from receiving material through my eyes to receiving material through my ears, because over the lifetime I had done most of my information seeking through reading, and it's quite a challenge to try to learn to listen more carefully and reply in that vein.
Could you elaborate on other ways that you receive information?
Yes, I would say one of the main ways is to have my associates read material for me and either send me an email or cut and paste emails to me of different materials that I need. A second important way is through the Metropolitan Ear for the Blind, which is a service which reads the Washington Post and the New York Times and Wall Street Journal for you daily. A third and very important way is the District of Columbia Library, which sends you books and articles orally, so that you can hear what you otherwise were used to reading. Finally, the various think tanks have websites.
Are you satisfied with the communication services available?
No, I'm not satisfied with them available, because while I can listen to emails and then reply to them, I can't initiate them, and this is a big gap. I'd like to be able to find techniques where you can substitute for reading the screen and be able to initiate an email as well as receive one. I've taken some courses in this where the technique is coming, but the research and development is considerably behind. It's going to take some years to develop.
Because authors are able to communicate visually in books through use of photos and illustrations, what do you recommend an author do to help a visually impaired audience?
I recommend that an author help visually impaired by writing more descriptively and not very briefly. I used to be annoyed by authors such as Thomas Wolfe, who gave elaborate descriptions, and then I found that this is very helpful to people who've never been able to see something. So I use that technique of describing things in much greater detail than I would otherwise have done.
Do you have plans to make your book available for the visually impaired?
Yes, I'm hoping that the Smokey Joe and the General will sell a sufficient number of copies to make it cost effective to put this into other electronic means that can be listened to. This will make the book available to a much wider audience.